Okay, now we have our photos inside of our page. Not all of them, but most of them. The next thing I want to do is I want to shrink some of these down. See over here how these are all about the same size? Now we can bring in what's called a grid. So I'm going to go to Window, I'm going to go to View and Grid. And let's just move this on over. This is what we're working with. We can change the color of the grid if we want to and the size of the grid. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edit and I'm going to go to Preferences, General, and I'm going to click on Guides and Grid. I'm going to change the color to maybe a red, and maybe I go with, let's go with one grid every 2. That looks good. It pulls it out a little bit more. You can kind of play around with that. And then I think I'm going to take this color and make it a bright green. I think it might stand out a little bit more. Click on OK. Now we don't have any guides just yet. We have the grid. So if I wanted to bring in some guides, I would pull them in from the rulers. So you would have to go ahead and have your rulers set. So I'm going to bring in a guide there. Now this is the cool thing. It bounces to those grids. I love this. So I want it to kind of be over here to the right, and I'm just going to kind of push it and it bounces to that grid. If you don't snap to, then you go to View, Snap to, and make sure all of these are checked, because then those will snap to those guides. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this one here. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So remember, you have to make sure that your Constrain Proportions is checked down here. See how it's checked? And I want it to be, this is going to be my photo that's over here. So I'm going to go ahead and snap it to that. Maybe make it a little bit, no, that looks about right. And this one, which one was the first one? Let me look at my layers here. So layer 1 was my first. So I'm just going to pull this here. Oops. Escape if you do something like that. Hit the escape key. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to shrink it down. So I'm keeping an eye on that Constrain Proportions down there. And it should bounce to those guides, hopefully. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this one here and shrink it down. The Constrain Proportions is checked down there. Click on the check mark. I think I'm going to have to make these a little bit smaller, or I have another idea too. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Take it from the corner, shrink it down. Okay. All right, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off a little bit. Let's see here. See, a lot of times you just kind of trial and error. No, I think this will be good. I think I am going to move this down in this corner here, and then this one about the same, this one down here, and this one over here. And we will turn off these grids because it does kind of get in the way. Now if I wanted to shrink them all at the same time, I can hold my Shift key down, select the top layer, then go to that bottom layer. See how I have all of those selected? And I can certainly shrink them all down at the same time, which is what I wanted to do. Then click on OK. Now let's go ahead and turn off those grids just to see what we have going. Now you can't really see these very well, so let's put a stroke around each of these. The cool thing is once you do one stroke, then you can also use that stroke and copy it to the other. So let's go ahead and select one. I'm going to select that top one. I'm going to go over to Layer, Layer Style, Style Settings. Make sure that that layer is selected, and let's just do a really nice white stroke. So I'm going to choose white from my list here. I'm just going to go out into my page because I know that that's white. And I'm going to put maybe a 3 pixel stroke, maybe 5. Let's try 5. 5 looks good. And then click on OK. Now let's zoom in there a little bit. That's a nice thin stroke. Now if we wanted to apply that stroke to all those other photos, all we had to do is select that layer, right click, and choose Copy Layer Style. Then go down to the other ones. I'm going to hold my shift key down to select all 3 of those, right click and choose paste layer style. So now all we have to do is go ahead and try to align these. Now some of them may not be the same size, and this gets a little bit hairy. See how this one's a little bit smaller, so I'm going to go ahead and shrink it down just a bit. I'm kind of eyeballing it. You don't have to be so picky when you are doing digital scrapbooking. A lot of times people can't even tell when you have a little slight change. Make this one a little smaller, and now those look pretty good. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to bring in a rounded corner. Now, not because I think it's going to look good, it's because I want you to see how to do that. So I can go to File, Open. I'm going to bring in a team photo, and I don't know which one I'm going to use yet. I have 2 of them that I really like. So if I wanted to bring in a rounded one, I can go into my rectangle marquee tool, and I can select an area. I'll show you 2 different ways to do this. I can select an area, but I need to put some roundness on there. So I'm going to go to Select, Modify, and Smooth. I'm going to smooth it about 50, and that may be too much. I don't know. That's pretty good. See how it did the corners there? We have a 0 feather. I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it and drop it into my page. And then I can shrink it down. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to have it, I think I'll have it line up over here to the right. And I think I'm going to be moving all this stuff over, but we're still working on it. Now what if I wanted to do it a different way? Let's bring in another photo. Let's open up this photo here. Now we could use a shape to cut it out of. So if you notice here we have a crop tool, and there are some cropping mechanisms down here. So you can use any of these cropping tools here to crop it. Let's just see what all elements are here. I don't see anything that I would probably use in this case. See symbols. But if you notice here, we also have this shape, which down here, you can see there's a rectangle. There is a rounded rectangle. So we have this one selected. We go down here and we get the rounded rectangle. Now what happens though, when we come in here, it is a very small shape area. So I'm going to Control Z to undo that. And I'm going to move this out of the way here. It's a little bit hairy. We want the radius to be a lot more than 10. Let's go with 75. Okay, so the radius for the rounded rectangle is going to be 75. That's a little bit better. I like that. We have to move it down below. Before we do that, we have to double click on the background. I know this is getting a bit crazy. Then move it down below. Then go to the top layer again and right click and choose Create Clipping Mask. Okay, I know. Then we're going to go ahead and merge those guys together, and then we can move them. So either way, you can try that method. I know you can watch this over and over, so you can watch it and try it out, or try out the other method that I just did right before then. Thanks so much for watching this quick snippet taken directly out of the Photo Editing and Digital Scrapbooking Academy. I'm Michelle Stelling, the founder of the National Association of Digital Scrapbookers, and I also wanted to let you know that if you wanted to find out more about our memberships, please go to www.naods.com/special, because we do have $60 off of our 6-month and 1-year memberships. You do not need a coupon code. It's already taken off at that site. So you have to go to that site to get the special. If you're watching this at a later date, it may no longer be available, but hopefully you're watching it at the right time. And also too, if you want to give some comments and feedback below, I always love to see that. So thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye for now.